Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about the Objectivist metaphysics and one of the biggest, most important concepts and most difficult to grasp that I had to understand before I truly felt like I understood the Objectivist metaphysics. For me, this is probably the most important concept to grasp because the Objectivist metaphysics is very, very simple. It's basically existence exists, the law of identity, A is A, consciousness exists, and then corollaries from there like causation and other things like that. And for me, I thought I understood these concepts. However, I still had little confusions about existence and how different things could exist and how existence could begin, so to speak, which, as I'll probably explain later in this video, is a very incoherent concept. But yeah, so for me, the most important thing for me to grasp is that nothing does not exist. There's no such thing as something called nothing, because nothing is the lack of existence. That's what nothing is defined as. It's where there's nothing. There's no existence, and existence exists. That's a fact about metaphysics. Existence exists. And if something's non-existence does not exist from that same fact. Because existence is... the verb exists refers to existence. So something that isn't existence does not exist. This is a really, really difficult concept to think about because it's very abstract and it's very much the basis of how words work, because you can't get under existence. You can't define the word existence in a very easy way without pointing to things, because the only thing you can say existence is you point and say, this is existence, all the shit around us is existence. But you can't rationalistically deduce existence. It's something that simply exists. But anyways, there's the fact that nothing does not exist. This is a very important concept. It doesn't seem important on the face of it, but the way people conceptualize existence makes this fact into something that dispels a lot of myths about existence. So I mean, one thing that this disproves is the idea that there are two universes, for example. That's one possibility, or two existences, or two separate entities that are called existence, that are separated. Because what would have to be in between them? Nothing. Nothing can exist. So you can't have gaps in existence, which would imply two universes. There can only be one universe, because any such gap in between existences is nothing, and nothing can't exist. So therefore, there's one universe. So that dispels a lot of the stupid ideas about multiverses and shit like that don't make any sense. Another myth that this dispels is the idea of existence before existence. The idea of nothing being there before existence. That doesn't make any sense, because nothing is nothing. There's no such thing as nothing. So therefore, there was nothing before existence. It's not something called nothing before existence. There wasn't time before existence. There wasn't space before existence. None of those things existed before existence. So I think the idea of what was there before existence, though? There's nothing before existence. That's self-evident, because outside of existence, there's nothing. It's an absurd proposition to say that before existence there was time. Time is simply motion of existence. Time is simply a measurement of motion of existence. Think about it, because you can't understand time without things moving. How we actually define time is, I don't know the exact definition off the top of my head, but it's like something with the oscillation of some particle and how long it takes to oscillate like that, or I don't remember the exact definition, but it's something related to oscillation. Please fact check me on this, because even if I'm wrong, I know I'm right about the fact that it's a measurement of some type of motion. That's how time is defined. But before existence, there is no motion. So to say before in relation to existence doesn't make any sense, because before implies time. Before implies this context of time. Because if you say this event happened before this event, you imply that there's this broader context of time that something can happen before it. But before existence, there was no time. So you can't use the word before in relation to existence because there was no time before existence. So in essence, that makes no fucking sense at all. Existence has always been here, even if it's finite. It's always been here because, I mean, there's a difference between saying that something's been around for eternity, which means all of time, and for infinity, which implies that time has no identity and no what's a good word for this? And to imply that time has no identity, I guess, because everything has to have a certain age. That's just a fact of identity. You can't say that, like, the universe can be this many years old, but there is still no time before the universe because there's no before the universe. That's implying that there's time before time, which doesn't make any sense. So I mean that also is a decent argument against the idea of some God setting everything in motion, because that implies that there's something before existence, which doesn't make sense because there's no time outside of time. So that's one way to argue against God, although people tend to not grasp this concept that nothing can't exist. So this tends to go completely over people's heads. But it actually is the most consistent way of thinking about the universe. And the question of how did the universe begin is also a very strange question to me, because that also implies that there's time. Because, like, something beginning can only happen in the context of time. It doesn't make much sense to say that the universe began. It simply always has been. But that doesn't mean it's infinite. It's just moved forever. You just need to... This is very difficult shit to explain because it goes so against how people tend to think about the universe. But I think if you just think about these concepts enough, you begin to, like, realize how much sense they actually make in the context of things. And it's a very revolutionary way of thinking about the universe. I understand that because it's not how we naturally like to think about things, because we've always thought of things in the context of time. So it's difficult to think of time outside of the context of time. But that's how you have to think about time, because there's no time outside of time. If there's no time, then there's no external clock. That doesn't make any sense. But yeah, so there's no beginning of the universe, so to speak. There's no before the universe. The universe has always been here. But it's not infinite either. It simply has always been. It started moving when it started moving. But there's never been a time when it wasn't moving, because there was no time before the time began. So, I mean, that's... Just think about that a little bit. You're not going to grasp it right away. I promise you. It takes a lot of thought and a lot of just looking at existence, thinking about things, and understanding how incoherent certain concepts are. For me, I feel like I have a decent grasp of it. Not the perfect grasp yet. There's still little questions that I have about it, but it makes a lot of sense to me because of how like fairly rational it is, how like based on existence it is, how certain things can't exist, the fact that nothing can't exist, the fact that time can't exist without time. These facts are self-evident facts, but you just need to integrate them properly, and that's the hard part. That's the very difficult part, because we don't tend to think about the universe outside of the context of time. Let's see, what's another thing? Another application for this is this idea that the universe is nothing that is filled with stuff. That's a very Platonic idea. The idea that almost there's these floating concepts that project themselves onto reality, and I think that's how most people think about the universe. They think there's this grand void of nothingness that stuff fills, that existence fills up. This doesn't make any sense either, because there's nothing. There's nothing outside of existence, and nothing can't exist. So the fact is, existence is all that there is. Existence isn't filling up nothingness. That's also an incoherent concept. So if you think about existence as being the only thing, and the universe being all that there is, and the universe being this solid, like, fact, this solid fact that doesn't have to fill up existence, that doesn't have to fill up nothingness. That'll help you a little bit in thinking about metaphysics as well. So yeah, this video got fucking deep, but I think that's all I have to say for today. Thank you guys for watching. I hope to see you in the next video. Peace. Oh, and please ask any questions in the comments. I will be happy to explain a little bit more if you didn't understand something in this video, because yeah, this stuff's tough to get. So once again, peace.